Yeah, the only thing is we sort of referenced it a little later on. I don't know if it really matters that much.
I check my teeth. Ate that granola bar.
Whenever I answer the phone, I'm like, hello.
What pissed you off?
It's a great argument to have.
I love my mom, but I think she's half crazy for doing that.
How dare you?
Do you work with your girlfriend, Mark? Or your wife, Mark?
I keep them separated. Sometimes I call people, they don't answer the phone. I'm like,
Wrong number, click.
Well, he's not that smart. Sometimes he sounds like he knows what he's doing.
yeah.
Go.
Therefore, you're an ass, and I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Yeah, but what do we know?
Welcome back. This is What Do We Know? I'm Mark.
I'm Mike, and I just had a really bad feling that me checking my teeth after eating a granola bar is definitely going to be an intro.
It probably will be. I do find it funny how when Mark, when you do the intro, you'll be talking so like normally, and then you'll be like, okay, let's start. This is What Do We Know? Like, it sounds like it's this like scripted thing that you're reading from, even though you're not at all. It's just
Reading a teleprompter behind the camera.
I'm sorry.
You flip into like robot mode for a minute.
Actually, not to get way too political, but whenever I watch different people, like political leaders, talk to like teleprompters or whatnot, like on like Jimmy Fallon or whatever, you have like Donald Trump and stuff, and they'll stop what they're saying and they'll look at the camera, so they can see the viewer, and they'll say their point, like, I'm talking to you, the viewer. And then every once in a while I watch Bernie Sanders, and he's just talking blah 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 blah, and he won't do that like pause for people to clap. Like, people will start clapping and he just keeps talking.
It's like, no. Like,
it's like, I got a point here. I can't stop for pause or whatever.
Just to refute part of your point, though, when they look at the camera, it's not so they can see the viewer. I mean, you know, it's hard to see the viewer through that camera. Like, look at everybody.
I believe they can see into our hearts when they look.
You know, viewers. I'm talking to you, viewers. You are the most important viewer that watches this show. You. I'm talking to you.
You.
No.
Most important.
You know who you are.
Not you. Forget it. No, you are a weirdo.
Be careful where you point that thing, Mike. You're pointing it at the viewer.
You know, I know you had an idea to start talking about other things in this show, but it spawned something in my mind, that the fact that, like, it's funny. Reality TV shows, I know that Mike's favorite shows in the world, but that is one of the things I find so funny about some of the reality TV shows, and sometimes why I continue to watch them, like Hardcore Pawn, the one that's based on the Detroit pawn shop. I don't know if you've ever seen it. Mm-hmm. Some of the scenes with some of those customers that do random and ridiculous things, it's obviously so scripted, because they'll be like, what do you mean I didn't bring that here? You look in the computer now. Like, they say it in such a scripted fashion, and I'm like, how can they have this as part of the scene, whereas the other guy looked so genuine and so realistic, and then you're going to cut over to this, and it's just like it loses all credibility on something you might think is, because I'm sure part of that show is real on the fact that they really run a pawn shop, and like, but they add some of the most ridiculous stuff in there.
I think you'd be surprised. So I worked in Detroit for several years, and I still own a home in Flint. And a lot of the stuff that happens on that show is not that far off from things I've seen in grocery stores.
Oh, no.
I've seen the way they talk.
Right. Because it's funny, because I watch that show, and sometimes Julia she hates it, but she'll watch it if I happen to have it on, and she'll laugh at some of the things, because people do some of the dumbest things in the world. Like, they'll be told no, so they'll walk out, and like one lady she was a short, like very large lady. She for some reason just started taking her top off and dancing around on the way out, and she was laughing so hard because it was so ridiculous, and who would ever do that? And obviously it's part of the show, but it was funny to watch at the same time. But then I was like, yeah, this is so far-fetched, it's ridiculous. And then I think to the emergency department, and I'm like, no, actually I've seen people do that exact same thing.
Right.
That was legitimately real. They weren't doing it for a camera. We didn't have cameras there. Like, people literally can be that. Sorry, I'm reaching for something. They can be that crazy, and it's
No, no, actually, it's really weird because like doing this video is actually really different from doing a video where I have a camera on me. So one of the things that I did for my elementary schools when actually preschools when I was actually trying to do video to help the new teachers that would come and replace me was I would do a video where I would dance and sing the songs, right? And these are songs and dances that I did for the kids.
Can we split that in right here? Like,
yeah. Can we?
I need a Mark dancing video.
But I mean, these are songs and dances that I would do for the kids all the time. And then I would take my camera, I would hit the record button, and I would forget the words. And I would forget how to dance. And it's like, I forget how to be who I am. And it's like when I do it in front of the kids, no problem. But as soon as that, like in my mind, I can't function correctly when I have the video recording.
Remember our radio show?
Yeah.
The first couple episodes of the radio show that we did, how nervous were we when we were in there? Like, we'd be sitting there right before we went live, and we'd just be talking about what we're going to talk about today. We got our topics, blah, blah, blah. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. Hi, guys. This is Mark and Jeff on WDWK.
No, even worse, because I would always sort of leave you to do the intro, because I couldn't get the freaking name of the show correct. It's WK37.
Because you kept saying it with WKFU, and it was WKUF, and you'd always be like with WKFU. You know, that is something I do have to bring up. I'm so immature. And it's ridiculous because, you know, being a director at the hospital that I'm at, I take some of these emails from, like, our chief nursing officer, and I giggle when I read them because she's always like, you know, Jeff, F you with this, because it's the shorthand to say follow up with something, and they constantly write in these emails like, F you something or other, and I'm always like, she just told me to fuck you. Like, I don't know. It's so, I honestly don't understand why corporate lingo uses that as an acronym.
Maybe she really doesn't like you. This sort of like your way of
Jeff, F you.
Oh, I still do that. I laugh whenever someone says doo-doo or something.
He said doo-doo.
That's still funny.
So with that, like, I recently did some a voice recording for somebody to put in a game that they're creating.
Okay.
And I was reading, like, the script of it and everything, very basic stuff, and I was just reading it so I knew what the lines were, so I could, like, kind of ramble them off as I was recording, and I would seriously be sitting there, you know, blah, 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 okay, got this, and be like, okay, let's record this line. And I recorded them, and I thought they sounded okay, and then when I went back and listened to them, I'm like, man, it sounds like I'm reading from a script. I don't understand why. Like, I feel it's so natural, and I'm saying it so naturally, and then it sounds like I'm reading from a script. It's so different during this show because I'm talking to you guys that I'm obviously not, you know, reading from a script, but it's just natural conversation flow.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask you a question? Do you read to your kids, right?
Never.
Never. Well, for my classes that I teach, every once in a while I have to read, like, you know, a couple paragraphs and have the kids dictate and repeat what I say. I screw up like 1 out of 10 times, and I don't know what's wrong with me because I know how to read. But like,
what's
I'm
even
in front of a class, and I'm very conscious of what I'm saying because I'm trying to make sure I, you know, enunciate and pronunciate everything I say correctly. But every once in a while, I'm like reading, and I'm just saying the words completely wrong, and I'll have to like, oh, I'm sorry, no. I have to repeat myself.
The brain is really weird that way because imagine, so my kids have their favorite stories that they want to hear all the time. So imagine on your 300th reading of, you know, Goldilocks and the Three Bears, you're screwing stuff up. Like, there's no way you should have it memorized. You shouldn't even need the book at that point, you know?
Right.
That happens all the time.
You're not even calling her Goldilocks. You're like, that redhead. No, wait.
It just goes back to, kind of what you were talking about, is once you get comfortable with stuff, you're a little better with it. But yeah, it still happens on stuff. No matter how well you know your material, your brain just glitches once in a while.
I dialed the phone number yesterday 3 times incorrectly before dialing it correctly. And I messed up the same 2 numbers all 3 times. I was typing it in and it was like, I don't know what it was, 888-111-9693. And I kept dialing 9639, and I realized it right the first time I did it, and I hung up the phone real quick, and I was like, that was dumb. And I dialed it again, and I was like 96, and I said 93, and dialed 39 again at the end, and I hung up the phone again. I sat there for a minute. I'm like, come on, idiot. Okay, here we go. And I dialed it, and I did it a 3rd freaking time. I just kept getting, I knew what the numbers were supposed to be. It's not like I'm dyslexic. I knew the order they were supposed to be in. I just couldn't physically make my finger dial them in the right order.
So you're the guy that kept hanging up, calling and hanging up.
Well, I do.
So the 3rd time I let it ring for a while, then I said, I'm going to kill you. And hung up the phone.
I do feel as I get older, like the whole number dyslexia thing, and I'm not trying to make light of dyslexia, because literally as I get older, I do that more and more with numbers. I have so much, well, I don't want to say I have so much trouble with numbers now, but I do it way more than I used to do it, switch numbers around.
It's so. Do you switch them around because you actually think they're supposed to be switched when you read it, or just because you make a mistake?
Just sort of make a mistake. Like, I work with numbers a lot at work. I do a lot of sort of number crunching, sort of figuring out production weights and units and things like that we produce every single day. That's my job, is to figure out. I have to figure out how many pieces of tubing we ran, how much weight that's involved. I have to take it out of my inventory, this, that, and the other. So I do a lot of number crunching, and I work with numbers a lot. And I've been doing this job for quite a while now. And it seems like I never used to make mistakes with switching numbers. And now I don't even want to say I make mistakes, because most of the time I will catch them as soon as I do them, and I'll say, that's not right, and I'll fix it. But now I do it on a fairly regular basis. I catch myself doing that, or I'll punch it into my calculator or something backwards, or, just weird stuff.
Now, is there a limit to how many times you make a mistake before you
give up?
Because I've had a number that I needed to call, right? And I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's me, or if it's the number, but you call this number and you're like, hello, is Jack there? Oh, this isn't Jack's phone number. Okay, well, okay, I'm gonna, thank you, sorry. Okay, and you hello, is Jack there? Oh, this is the same person I called before. I'm sorry, this is, okay, thank you. Now, do I call that exact same number?
No, it all depends on if, are you dialing the number correctly that you're dialing it correctly, or are you dialing it incorrectly?
But see, sometimes I don't know.
Well,
okay.
I don't feel like I already made this. I bothered someone twice.
I was going to say, so I would have asked on the second time, am I calling? Repeated the number. Number one. Number two, I don't even have a landline to my house anymore, and I haven't for quite a long time. So my cell phone will show me what number I dialed. I'll definitely know if I'm punching the right numbers.
All right.
See, I have these horrible phones at my work, though, that it shows you on the screen as you're dialing the number, and the second it connects, it goes away. And when somebody calls you, it shows you who's calling you, and the second they disconnect, there's no way to go back through a call log. It's so freaking annoying, because I did the same thing the other day. I dialed something, and they were like, sorry, you must have the wrong number. And I was like, oh, is this? And I said the number, and they're like, oh, no, it's, and again, it was like the 9339 thing. Like, I switched 2 of the numbers up when I was dialing it, and I was like, oh, okay, good. Because I didn't want to call back again and be like, hey, this is me again.
So every once in a while, I get a phone call, and I don't really speak that much Japanese, but obviously when I start speaking English, and it's a wrong number, they could figure out, I would think, quite quickly that it's the wrong number. So I would get a phone call, and I would answer, and like, hello, this is Mark. And they'll be like, talking in Japanese. And I'd be like, oh, I'm sorry. I think you have the wrong phone number.
No Japanese.
I mean, I can tell from the Japanese that this guy is drunk off his ass. And I'd be like, yeah, this is the wrong phone number. But it takes me like a good 5 minutes or something, like explaining, like, look, fucker, this is the wrong number. I'm an American. I'm not the person that you're planning to call because obviously you don't speak a lick of English.
So, and that's where the. But that's what the thing is. Why do you spend so long trying to explain it to somebody if they obviously don't speak English? Because everything you're saying to them, they're not understanding.
You don't want to be rude. You can't, it's like, no, wrong number. Hang
Just
up.
start saying "Dono arigato." And
I don't know. Thank you.
yes, sure. It's the only Japanese phrase that I know. I don't even know what it means. I guess konnichiwa. Does that mean hello or goodbye? Hello. Yeah, just be like, konnichiwa! Ah! Just say something like that. See how the conversation keep going.
Godzilla! It's not Japanese. I haven't evolved much from that. That's how I talk now. It's like, konnichiwa, Godzilla, domo arigato.
You see that Saturday Night Live episode with Chris Farley on the Japanese game show?
You know what? I have yet to translate that episode. I really should watch that episode, translate what he's saying, and make sure that it makes sense. Because in the episode, they when Chris Farley did it, he was answering almost correctly.
Right.
So makes me wonder.
Yeah. So Saturday Night Live. It's interesting to me. I don't know if you've ever tried to YouTube a Saturday Night Live episode or a Saturday Night Live clip. It's really hard to get to Saturday Night Live on YouTube because they've really taken a stand against having their clips out there on YouTube. But you can find pretty much any other show that you want. You can find clips of it out there. I'm really surprised it's so difficult to find SNL skits on YouTube. Have you guys not ever noticed this?
No, I've never searched for any of them.
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes because we'll get to talking about some funny SNL skit, and somebody will be like, "Oh, I've never seen that." It's like, "Oh, let's find it. You'll love it." And you try to search for it, and you can't find it anywhere. And I'm really shocked that SNL of all shows.
It's weird that SNL just got brought up because they just, and I wish I knew what channel this was on, but I just watched this thing. The wife had it on the other day. It was a sort of like a, I don't know, documentary or biography or something on the history of Saturday Night Live, and it started with its inception and went through all the decades, all the cast of characters and things like that. It was a pretty interesting show if you ever watched that when you were younger. I guess it's still on. I haven't seen an episode of that in I don't even know how long. I couldn't even tell you who's on that show. Is Maya Rudolph still there? She's the only one.
I don't know. I haven't seen it in a while. I think Maya Rudolph might still be there though.
One of the guys from All That is on the show. That's all I know. I don't even know his name.
I haven't seen an episode in so long.
It's been a while.
I mean, I watch it still every so often. If somebody talks about something funny has happened in it, I will catch it, or if it's on and I'm not doing anything else, I'll have it on in the background or whatnot. It definitely has lost its appeal that it used to be, but that's not to say that it's not going to come back again. Because I mean, it had its heyday with David Spade, Chris Farley, Norm Macdonald, Kevin Nealon, all those people. You're going to end up with a cast again that's that good. It's just a matter of when it's going to be. I mean, coming up in the political, now that we're in the political season again, it probably will get really good because they're always really good around the presidential election. Granted, one year it was mainly based on the fact that Sarah Palin looks exactly like Tina Fey. So, and Sarah Palin is Sarah Palin. So
they're always really good with election type stuff.
Well, Tina Fey even said during that election cycle, she didn't have to write a single word of dialogue. She would just get up there looking like Sarah Palin and repeat what Sarah Palin said. And it was that funny. Because you heard what she said recently, right? Talking about the foreigners and how when they come to this country, they need to learn to speak American.
American is a very good language. So, you know what? To be honest, though, and not that I'm trying to okay. I sometimes say Spanish like it came from Mexico. And I do this every once in a great while, and my wife catches me every single time, and she yelled at me for doing it. and I don't know exactly why I do it,
Well,
but
it's because in America, when you were here, we're closer to Mexico, which is a predominantly Spanish-speaking,
right.
country, than we are to Spain. So in our minds, it's kind of like the Mexico is Spanish because of the fact that it's what's close to us. It's what we deal with. I don't think that's being racist at all. I think that's just based on your surroundings.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say racist, but a little bit of ignorance. Not ignorance per se, but like, habit of ignorance.
But do you really think the Spanish language was created in Mexico?
Well, let's say American English, well, being in Asia, American English and British English, there are quite a bit of differences. And, you could say there's Australian and, South African, but it's mostly, the British style versus American style English. So
right.
If Sarah Palin's like, when you come to America and you speak American, you can make the argument that it's valid compared to like British English.
Really? So, what is the normal language in Alaska? Is
American English?
Is it English or
Inuit?
I don't know. I have no idea about what Alaska is.
Because I thought they had a lot of like American Indians.
I thought they did as well.
It's Southern American. That's basically almost like a Texan drawl in Alaska. South Asian.
Alaska's got that southern accent.
They're riding on their dog sleds, going, "Get along, little doggy."
Getting out, little doggy.
Because Texas has oil, Alaska has oil. It's basically they're twins.
They're the same. They're the same thing.
And everything's bigger in Texas, so when Alaska comes and visits Texas,
Yeah,
it's actually
Alaska
bigger than it really
is the biggest
is.
state. You argue with that, so
No, I'm saying they're the same. Exactly the same.
Alaska is such a weird place for us to own. I mean, it came in some random purchase, I know, but like, who was like, we'll give you the tip of Canada, like this big chunk of the corner of Canada. Like, how does that fit in with America at all? Like, I wonder why that.
Well, I mean,
just
you
like
could argue the same thing about Hawaii. Like, basically, we stole the land from the Hawaiians. We're like, it's ours now. We just made it ours.
I think it's more like the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Why is it Michigan and not either Canada or Wisconsin? Like, I don't understand why it's related. It doesn't even touch Michigan. We have to build a way to get there, whereas it's fully engulfed into Wisconsin.
I agree.
I actually know the answer to that.
Go on. I'd like to hear.
So, at one point, Michigan and Ohio were almost in a war over Toledo.
I thought you were going to say over football.
No. Let's wait for that.
It's not that important, just Toledo.
because Toledo was a big port city. So they both wanted it, and they almost went to war over it. And at the time, like, the national government decided that to avoid war, they were going to give Toledo to Ohio and give us the whole Upper Peninsula.
Yeah, it's about a fair trade.
What did Wisconsin say
huge land mass versus Toledo.
I don't know that Wisconsin was a state at the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How did that? Okay,
I'm not 100% on the timeline with that, but I'm pretty sure it goes back a really long way. So if I had to guess, Wisconsin might not have been a state then.
So do you happen to know, just out of my own curiosity, like educational time today, where did Canada get the split on what's Canada versus what's America? Do you know when that came?
That I have no clue.
I'd just be curious on when that was decided
Well,
upon. I could research
somewhere
it.
Around the French-Canadian War when America lost to Canada, in a way.
I don't know my history because I'm not that smart.
Well, because I remember the British owned like basically territory, and you had the French-Canadian War, which is basically the Native Americans versus British Americans, and then you had this war between Canadians and the British, which sort of ended in a truce. And I think that's when they started drawing lines on who owned what land. But who cares? I mean,
I want to own an island.
To be honest, and it's going to sound like I'm very ignorant in many aspects, and I'm not saying that I'm not. But I didn't know there were 12 territories to Canada until I was like in my mid-20s. Like I didn't even know. Like I just thought it was just freaking one giant landmass called Canada. I didn't know they split it up into like the Yukons and Quebec, and I just thought like, oh yeah, go to Canada. Like if somebody went to America and they're like, Michigan. I thought it was just all Michigan. I thought it was just all America. Like, yeah, 50 states? What the hell is?
I mean, sometimes it might be better if it was all one. I don't know.
But I mean, like, yeah, we got 12 territories for Canada. You have many different states for Mexico. Like, this is things that I had no idea even existed until I was like much older in life. Like, oh, Canada has territories. Mexico has states. I thought America was just special. I was
just like the concept of when people talk about North America. How old were you before you realized that didn't just mean America, like the United States of America? Like it was always North America. It was like, yeah, that's us. Well, yeah, it's us and others as well.
I'm not even 100% sure. Is Iceland part of North America?
No, Iceland's its own place.
So it's not part of Europe.
North America refers to like the
gotta
continent.
Be North America, right?
No, I think it refers to the continent. I don't think Iceland's considered part of the continent.
What is it? Europe then?
I think it's its own place.
Because like I know like a lot of people in Britain, they might not consider themselves a part of Europe, but like as an American, I tend to think of Britain definitely is part of Europe. But you know,
yeah, Britain's definitely part of Europe. It's smack dab in the middle of all of it.
Smack middle of what? Anything's at the edge of something.
I guess you're right. It is across the bridge. Well, no, because still, Ireland and stuff is considered part of Europe, isn't it? Part of Europe. And Ireland is what's above.
Okay, so the United Kingdom is actually basically several countries put together. So you got like Northern Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and they're all basically a kilometer, like just a bunch of countries that says we're the United Kingdoms. But the United Kingdoms is not itself a country, right? So the Irish, they don't consider themselves English at all, and that's one of the things that you like learn when you real quickly when you come to another country outside of America. Like, yeah, right. The Irish, they're their own country. They're not part of the UK.
And then there's Wales.
Iceland is part of Europe. I looked it up because I was curious.
Really? It's
I would consider Iceland part of Europe, although
I would consider it part of none of them. Like it's its own place. Why does it have to be?
It's no different than Hawaii or Alaska that we talked about earlier being part
of it. No, it's very different than Alaska. Alaska's connected to the main landmass. I would consider Hawaii its own place as well, not part of the North American continent. It's there on its own. Alaska's actually connected to the continent. I don't know. It's just the way that I looked at it, I guess, which was ignorance of me.
You get into a gray area then because like the Florida Keys, should they be their own country?
Well, no, I'm not saying Hawaii is its own country. It's just not part of the continent.
Let me ask you about Puerto Rico.
Of the United States.
Part of the continent either? That's kind of...
Let me ask you about Puerto Rico. What do you think that should be considered? Part of America?
Well, Puerto Rico is an American territory. So
right.
it is part of America.
I mean, one of the weird things about Puerto Rico is, as American citizen as you are, Jeff, if you lived in Puerto Rico, you would not be able to vote on many U.S. policies.
Right. I was actually just going to ask, like, and this is kind of embarrassing as a 35-year-old male. I don't really know what an American territory does for you as far as a country goes, because you still need a passport to go there, right?
So my wife...
I don't believe so.
No.
I don't believe you need a
passport.
Because
my wife is actually from the Virgin Islands, and Virgin Island... American, Virgin Island. So she could go from anywhere in America without using her passport because that's part of America.
Because she's an American, right?
Yeah. Anybody born in the U.S. Virgin Islands, in Puerto Rico,
Guam.
are Americans in Guam, are American citizens. So they can go anywhere in America without a passport.
I'm pretty sure they can vote on all those issues, though.
There's a Puerto Rican, you cannot vote on a presidential election.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm 100% sure.
That doesn't
That means if you're born in Ohio and you went to Puerto Rico, you would not be able to vote in the presidential election. But if you're a Puerto Rican and then you decided to live in Ohio for whatever reason, then therefore you're allowed to vote. It's just that if you live in the territory of America, you are not considered a state of America. Therefore, you're not allowed to vote on certain aspects.
Why do they call it a territory rather than just another state? Like, what separates a territory?
So we have 50 states, right?
Right.
Those states are not considered territories. And if you're a territory, you're not considered state because the semantics of the words are what matters in America, apparently.
Well, but that's what I'm asking. Like, if there,
we have like millions of people who are American citizens that can't vote on certain political aspects.
Right, but why are they not considered a state if they're that intertwined with us?
If you want to know my personal opinion, why?
Weird.
I don't.
It's because Puerto Ricans would probably vote Democrats, and because of that, a lot of Republicans wouldn't want people voting, which is really weird because like in Guam, which is the majority of people who live in Guam are in the military and they're not allowed to vote. I mean, I don't know if it's Republicans or Democrats that are basically preventing that territory to be able to vote like a state. But, you know, they don't want they don't want to give basically electoral votes to territories.
I actually didn't even realize, because I'm reading an article on it right now trying to figure out why. It's talking about how it's a big issue that they can't vote, just like Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands, and Guam. But it says that the 23rd Amendment extended the rights to choose electorals for the District of Columbia. I didn't realize that was an amendment that got put into place to allow electoral votes in the District of Columbia.
I didn't know D.C. even had electoral.
Yeah, I didn't know this until after I moved here because I didn't think we did at first, but I think we have 2 or 3 electoral votes. I can't remember.
Which is weird because there are so many states that have a lot less population than territories. So it had nothing to do with population. Just like, well, you know, this person gets a vote, this person doesn't.
DC strangely though, has a super high population for landmass area.
Well, I mean, if you talk about population and why we have the electoral system, if you believe it or not, is that if you talk about cities, they're all basically, and the majority of population lives on the coast. You have New York and all the way down on that coast side, and then you have LA and all the people that live on that coast. A vast majority of people live in cities, a vast majority lives on the coast. So we have an electoral system, so, you know, people in Nebraska have more of a vote. Not necessarily saying that it's more than they should have, but probably more than proportional-wise with population.
Right.
Yep.
America, a republic, but we like to call it democratic for some reason.
Yeah.
It's a democracy. It's not democratic. Wait, yes, they do use that word all the time. Yeah, that's kind of funny to me with the parties. Why do you have Republicans and Democrats if you're going to call it a democratic society? That's... I don't know.
I mean, I don't even really understand the system where it's like, it would be different, honestly, if we had electoral voters that voted differently than what the majority of their constituents actually voted for. Like, if you have, like, let's say, for whatever reason, a Democratic electoral voter that is in the Democratic Party voting differently than what is constituents of the majority of that section voted for. So let's say, for whatever reason, you're a very close electoral race, right?
Yeah,
and
well, and
50-50. Like, it could be George Bush and it could be Clinton, and it comes down to like this one electoral voter. And even though all the voters voted Republican, they're just like, fuck it. I'll
Yeah,
just
they
vote for from a Democrat for no reason.
yeah they could do
legitimate.
that. They could do that. It's just the problem that you have with that is the fact that people vote that person in. That person would never get elected again into that position because the voters would feel shafted.
Yeah,
I
but
don't know about you guys, but I lost Mike's video feed. But it's okay. We're about to wrap up anyway.
Weird.
Yeah, you're frozen on my screen, just looking listfully to the left.
Oh, well, maybe that's what I'm doing. You don't know.
That's true. You could just be sitting there and very good
What?
Yeah, I can't say the word right now.
For you.
Ventriloquist.
The next 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Just trying to see if Jeff could say the word.
Ventriloquist. Did it.
Okay.
Well, if I'm froze, let's call it. We're getting close to the end anyway.
All right, guys. See you guys next week.
Take care.
Bye. I'm going to look left as we sign off.
Everybody gaze at Mike looking left. I'm going to look at what he's looking at, too.
Which side am I supposed to look?
That one.
Other way, Mark. Other way. There you go.